basically welcoming people from the U.S. here, Richard and Barbara, delighted, and we are ready to go. Moira, what would you come on, please, from Paris?
Yes, absolutely. Welcome from Paris to everybody around the world. It's so exciting. Every time it's a thrill to be on this call with you all. And I think it would be very simple just to go around and have people introduce each other and maybe just say a little bit about what they've been up to since we last had our call, which was in October, so it's quite a long time ago. Shall we start with Poland? Our brand new country liaison from Poland, Grażnia Bus, whom I've known for quite a few years through EURAG, but I think, Grażnia, would you introduce yourself and say a little bit about your fantastic work in Poland?
Yes, okay, thank you very much, Moira. Well, first, I would like to say that I'm really very happy to join this fantastic movement network and global family, as you have already told. I am a gerontologist and adult education specialist, and for years I organized different kind of activities for older adults, and also for in order to join generations, so intergenerational activities and projects. And that's what I tried to do in Poland from the very beginning in the association I represent, and I am the president of, is just to empower people, just to give them some support in order to make them feel stronger, and just to have different ideas and to fulfill these ideas by themselves. And this is, I would like to say, a very difficult work, just to make people independent, think independently and act independently. This is, we are on the way, on this way, and try to convince people they should just have initiative, to be creative, and to do as much as possible by themselves, not to wait for solutions, not to wait for people around, but to try to be active, to be creative, and to be independent. This is what we try to do in our association. We also are the owner of the newspaper. This is quite non-profit newspaper where the older adults in our city can write the articles, and this newspaper is shared among the citizens, especially of course older adults. And this is the newspapers with information, but also sharing different ideas and activities which are to join in our city. So this is a lot of useful information and also proposals for older adults.
That's great.
That would be just shortly.
Just two questions on your newspaper. Is it a paper newspaper? It's not
paper. Also paper, yes, because
and internet.
In internet also, okay. But it is the fact that a lot of older adults, older citizens don't use internet. Yes,
right.
It is still this this situation, and it is important for us also to reach these people, and that's why we always have a little bit financial problems, because this is a real cost. Yes, we have to print the newspaper, and this is the real cost we always have to cover.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
And Moira and Jeme, we just want to welcome Dieter from Switzerland, right. And Dana from Czech, and Jillian right. from Canada, who've all just come on. So welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here. Click your mouse in the top right-hand corner on the little box so that you can see us all as one big grid. That's one little thing Zoom doesn't default to. So now we're
I
all.
can't see Lillian.
She's on admin panel.
That's Jillian. She had her picture and then it came off. So I think she may just be listening for the moment. She put herself on mute, but that's Jillian.
Okay, fine.
Okay, Maura.
Okay, Tom, how would you like to jump in and just tell everybody who you are, what you do?
Tom Holloway, the University of the Third Age, currently in Oxford, England. I have lived some years in India. We run a free internet online project, in fact, several projects, one of which we just started called U3A Forum, which is rather similar to what you see here, except that's once a month. And we will be running webinars on art and history and various other subjects. And that's about all I need to say, I think.
It's a very modest introduction. I can just quickly say Tom spent more than 12 years in India doing the most incredible work with school children there, introducing them to computers, plus a whole lot of other things. We won't go into it, but he's had a remarkable career. And I think since he went on retirement, he's done so much for the world, for society, and for young people.
Well, it was 18 years actually, Maura, and I'm still inextricably bound up with lots and lots of families, particularly the education of girls in India, which is a major problem.
Right, that's for sure. Barbara.
Good morning from Arizona. Well, things here are pretty much still stagnant. I am continuously conducting my speaking engagements as a retirement transition life coach. We're doing a large series in April with one of the largest senior centers here in Arizona. And our topic is aging and resilience, the new normal in a changing world.
Great.
Nice title.
Yeah, that should be really, really interesting. I understand that we should have about 150 people in attendance there. But resilience is something that many of the aging people are really faced with today. And having the ability to bounce back and continue on with a wonderful life. So that's basically what I'm doing. I have connected also with a neurosurgeon that we're putting on a workshop in May on the aging brain. And that should be very interesting to the community, trying to educate people more on what is involved and how there are things that you can slow down the process of dementia and Alzheimer's through proper health care, exercise, and etc. So I'm still on the bandwagon. I am still marching. I am still a soldier for Pass It On Networks here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Those are both wonderful subjects. Wonderful.
Thank
Linda,
you.
what you been up to?
You're talking to me, Moira?
Yes, Linda.
Okay. Hi, I'm from South Africa. I run an organization called the Refinement Network. So basically, from a media and a content point of view, educating individuals and corporates on the changing world of work for the mature generation. A dream for me from South Africa, and the name 50 Plus Skills. And I'm very excited to say yesterday I got a funder who's prepared to fund the first 2 years of getting us up and running. So I am ecstatic.
Yay, Linda! Wonderful.
Wow.
That's wonderful. Wow.
Yeah, I mean it came out of nowhere, and I am absolutely delighted that someone believes in my dream. So that's fantastic.
Well, tell us where nowhere is, Linda. I'll look for nowhere.
That's wonderful.
And
really wonderful.
The second thing, that there's a chapter of Aging 2.0 opening in South Africa, in Cape Town. A girl called Sylvia Kloppers, who has bought the chapter or is opening the chapter. she's running something called Care Champs in Cape Town, but she's a young techie herself, but now involved in the aging world. And I think she's going to be real mover and shaker in helping us to get that conversation going in South Africa. And she's asked me to be her keynote speaker at the opening of Aging 2.0 in South Africa. So I'm very excited about those two things
just
today.
To clarify, did you say senior champs or care champs or care
champs?
Champs,
that's
like
the name.
Champion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I will send you. I'll put her website in the chat box.
Great. That's super. Colleen.
Yeah.
Up so early to be with us.
Well, notice a big difference in what I look like now than 5 minutes ago?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. Oh, Hawaii's been wonderful, and I have to defer much of what I wanted to say to Cullen. He's got some new exciting things going that I'm a part of. I think the most important work I'm doing now is really writing. And as I mentioned earlier, before everyone was on, the book is with the editor, and that's on alternative careers. And I think the St. Francis upcoming event that I'll be presenting at, I'll let Cullen tell you about.
Super. Thanks.
Well,
Cullen would take the lead from there because it's logical.
Okay. Well, Carlene is assisting me in putting together an active aging consortium in Hawaii. We're starting with trying to identify, create a vision and a mission statement, and then a kitchen cabinet, so to speak, and slowly we'll work towards identifying some specific projects to work on. The event that Carlene is referring to is something that we're doing for 2018, having a series. We're planning to have a series of 2-hour type workshops at the facility where I'm consulting at. It's used to be a hospital that has converted its entire facility into an elder care village with a continuum of care. So one of the things that I'm responsible for is in developing an active aging program there, and which is why I'm working on these various projects, from a television show to this active aging directory or handbook, which should be out by the end of this month. That's our plans anyway, and I'll get copies to you folks. And then the third is this retirement in transition workshop that we've started last year, and we will continue this year as well. So busy, and this will be an exciting year. And Carlene has been very, very helpful.
That's tremendous. Thanks very much, Cullen. We'll go back now to our order. Helen, can you say hello to us from Uganda and tell us what you're up to?
Okay, hello everyone. First, I want to apologize. I've been participating for the Monday Zoom meetings. I've been very busy. Usually my Mondays are very, very busy. I'm a founder of Passiton Trust Uganda. We basically work with children, young women, and seniors using education and social entrepreneurship as a tool of change to fight against early marriages. What I've been up to, currently I'm trying to set up a training center where I'm going to offer training programs to both seniors and young women in the community. These programs be focused on personal development and entrepreneurship so that they can help them revive their dreams and also support their families. I've also started an adult education program engaging seniors, those ones who are not able to access better education. I'm trying to engage them in adult education, personal development, and different life skills that can help them focus more on their lives and also give them a better chance to revive their dreams.
That's wonderful. You have an awesome task that you perform, it seems to me, Helen. You add more goals every time I talk to you. every time I hear you. Wonderful, wonderful work.
Okay, thank you.
Richard, can you come in from California?
Let me unmute myself. By the way, I want to say in terms of Carlene, when she moved to Hawaii, that it was Hawaii's gain but California's loss. I miss having her here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll just quickly mention a couple of things that have been going on. First of all, so my core interest has been aging and technology. And my main project over the last 2 years is to create a new kind of program based at the Senior Center in Palo Alto at Avenidas called the Generations Lab, which is sort of the beyond computer training to look at keeping older adults in touch with the whole world of what I call personal digital electronics, everything from smartphones and activity trackers to 3D printers and robots. And earlier this week, we had what we called a tech talk, where I had an hour discussion with a woman named Manjula Waldron, who's a pioneering woman in technology. She is an electrical engineer and a computer scientist, has been working in the field for about 50 years, and she currently splits her time between California and Australia. Just now in California, and we had a wonderful discussion about what life is going to be like living with smart robots. And the point we were making is that we all have this smart technology already. It's in our lives. We have smart cars and smartphones and so forth. And it's going to get more so. So that was fun, and we'll continue to run these tech talks and other programs. Secondly, I think at our last conference, yes.
Richard, have you videotaped those?
Yes, and I believe they're going to put them online. I'll let you know. I actually have a suggestion at the end that I want to make, but yes, they are being videotaped. Secondly, I think I mentioned the last time that Cupertino had just been acknowledged as by the World Health Organization as an age-friendly community, and so we've been having sort of a round of events to sort of mark that. I've been to the city council, we've been to some other events, and we're just sort of right now patting each other on the back for having accomplished this. But the interesting thing is we're now part of a larger consortium of age-friendly Silicon Valley. Every one of the 15 communities are qualifying. We were, I think, the 12th out of the 15. And we're now meeting on a regular basis to share ideas, and that's really been very exciting and inspiring. So we're getting to know each other in the communities in this county, which probably does have several million people in it. So that's moving forward. I just want to also mention a third project that I'm an advisor to, but it's not my project directly, although it's a good friend and a colleague, but it's one that I think would be of interest to people. The project is called the Atlas of Caregiving. Carrie, you know about this. It's headed by a man named Rajiv Mehta. And it's the purpose of the project was to help understand the day-to-day reality of caregivers. And his feeling was it was a kind of unknown territory because caregivers so often work in isolation and are overwhelmed with their responsibilities that they really don't have a very good view of what they themselves do. And so it's a research project, but it has developed a very practical tool called Care Maps. And Raj has been leading a series of workshops where individuals who are involved in caregiving create their own care map that it's a graphic representation of the network of people that they're involved with, the care recipients, but also other. It's having the feedback has been that it's tremendously helpful to the people to get an understanding of their own situation and their challenges. And the exciting development, and I'll send the link to this around as well, is this tool, which was first a pencil and paper tool, is now online. And so it's available everywhere, and it can be done using this really quite sophisticated online tool and then shared with others. So that's a kind of cool resource. Last thing I just want to mention briefly is that the American Society on Aging is going to be meeting in San Francisco at the end of March. And if any of you are out here, I was going to suggest that we try to get together for a Pass It On Network dinner or something of that sort.
Yay, great idea. I'll be there.
Good. Well, let's get together, Jan.
So it was that was Carrie, Richard.
Oh, it was Carrie. Oh, great. Okay, I thought.
I'm not going to ASA. I canceled because I'm going to the Positive Aging Conference in Philadelphia.
I had to decide which one I was going to. And since ASA's in my backyard, I'm going to go to that one.
There are several people who are working there on age-friendly communities that I'm going to be introducing you to. I'll send that by email.
I'm sorry to miss the Positive Aging Conference. I've been to the last 5, and this one, just because of timing and location, I'm gonna not make it.
Super. Thanks very much, Richard. You've been very busy, and a lot of that stuff is very positive and can be used, I think, by all of us. Thank you so much. Patricia, coming in from Sweden.
Oh, hold on. Let me open up your mic for you.
Right.
Thank you.
Could you introduce yourself? Because I think that I think this is the first call that you're on.
Well, I was on 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
And then I've had internet courses going on Sunday afternoons. Otherwise, that made it very difficult. I'm an American, but I live in Sweden, and I've been here for 60 years. And I have been quite public here as a part of the university in psychology and psychotherapy. Now I'm doing my best to be low-keyed and very private. So I'm on a small scale compared to everyone else. That's another reason why I felt maybe I didn't really fit in here, because I'm doing such small scale things. I was very inspired on the talk that I did attend, or the talks, because I heard a number of people speaking of groups they had, or someone was telling about a group they called WOW, which was Wonderful Old Women. And I got inspired by that to start my own WOW. And it's been going on now for 3 years. And it's a lovely group, and it's absolutely amazing support group for 10 of us. And unfortunately, I just don't have the energy to spread it. I mean, it would be possible. The need is enormous. The interest is enormous. But I would need others to help me here. And at the moment, I'm quite alone, and I'm not spreading it. But Jan and Moira asked me to write a little summary of this work, and I did. And I thought you wouldn't want it because it was too long. But I sent it to all my children and grandchildren and friends just to get, like input. And that was so impressive to hear that my children were interested, my grandchildren were interested,
oh, wonderful.
My friends were interested. So it's spreading like to Denmark and South Africa and the US, etc. So that made it worth it for me, even if you didn't want it.
And we did.
That was quite amazing. So that's all. And what I did was write about just step by step how a group can be convened, and how one, in one way, can make it possible for everyone to be seen and heard, even after the age of 80. And often that's not the case in society.
Right, quite so. Jan?
I just want to comment on the fact that she now has done such a good job of spreading this method, because for all of you who haven't already read the Pass It On Network newsletter that came out yesterday, the short item on Patricia is connected to a blog that takes you through that step-to-step process, so that any one of you or any other reader, it would be able, I think, to really start the process. And of course, we have little books that are mentioned under our community support section, like The Circle Way, like The Harvest of Years, like Project Renewment, And that's really, from my perspective, where positive aging gets started. With that, just the ability to talk with other people who are kind of in the same boat about your common experience, to share that experience, and to act as support for one another, drawing out the strengths that each of us offers. So I'm very, very, we're indebted to Patricia. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Indeed. David, coming in from Lagos, greet us and tell us about what you're up to.
Yeah, I want to say good day to everyone. And to thank Moira most of all for what she did. Hello?
Hello?
Hello. Can you just speak up a
Can
bit?
you hear me?
You may need to speak
All right.
a little
Can you
bit
hear
louder,
me?
David.
Okay, can you hear me now? Am I loud?
Yes, very good.
That's very good, thanks. I really want to say a big thank you to Moira for flying down from France to come and attend the Aging Conference, the Teenagers Conference in Nigeria. It was a splendid time with her. And I really want to give a big kudos also to Carrie for setting up the website for us. Well, the theme, as you all knew, was challenges of aging in Africa. And it was that we've been pushing for the bill to be passed on the aging group in Nigeria since 1989, precisely. And I never knew when I was interviewed on air by the National Television Authority to actually speak on it. I didn't know that someone in the government circle was listening. And we had our program 26th of October and 27th of October. And shockingly, I got the news 26th of January that the president of Nigeria has passed the bill on older people. So kudos to Pass It On Network. You've done well.
Well done.
Super.
So,
thanks.
And that actually gave me confidence to know that yes, I'm in a very good network that can actually push something to the next level for Nigeria. Then secondly, that propped me up to set up an active aging network in Lagos. Active aging network, the main objectives and goal is just for me to gather all the CEOs, coordinators, directors of and NGOs that cares for older people. They've never had that before. So currently I'm organizing that. We've not had our meeting. I hope if I'm rich enough, that if I have enough funds, I'll be able to gather them together. We chart a way forward. We map a way forward to know exactly what the bill is all about. Because the only thing I read, I've not had the bill myself. I've not had a hard copy to go through. But the only thing they were talking about was to allow organizations to set up centers for seniors in Nigeria. So by the time I'm able to get all the other CEOs together, then I'll know exactly what to discuss with them. Then I'll also want to introduce Pass It On Network to them too. That one is very important. And thirdly, I have to say a big thank you again to Moira. I don't know why she's getting all the accolades and appellations. Just gave me a call again. Said, David, you know the way he talks authoritatively. And I'll say the boss. It's okay, boss. What are you up to again? You know, and she said, all right, why don't you put in for the Common Age Conference? And there's a bursary coming up. Why don't you apply for the bursary? I said, oh, boss, you really want me to do that? She said, yeah, okay. And I did. And I went, you know, in Nigeria, we pray a lot. We are so religious. So I just went and started, you know, I began to pray. Okay, hope I get the bursary. And Vaula, she called me and said, David, have you heard the news? I said, no, what's the news? He said, oh, you won the bursary. I said, "Will you name it?" It's 2,000 pounds. I said, "Wow." So, so I want to say a big thank you to her again. I think I'm going to be going to UK 16th to 18th of April, and I hope I'll be a very good representative of Pastoral Network. Then that's another one that she's done. Then all of a sudden she called again. David. She said, "Okay, boss, what's it again?" I want to talk to Professor Velas. He's going to be coming to Nigeria to hold the
we're losing you there.
conference on U3A. I said, "Okay, fine, President. Can you hear me? Where did you lose me?"
Yes, you're
Can
back.
you hear now?
You're here.
Yes.
Okay, where did I stop?
U3A.
With the U3A.
Where did I stop? U3A. Oh, all right. So, as usual, like I said, Moira connected me up to Professor Velas, and I have to attend the conference. And I was asking her, well, what am I going to be talking about on the conference? They said, "Oh, why don't you talk about engaging the elderly in digital literacy?" And she quickly packaged some things for me too. I mean, she's just wonderful. And I went there for the conference. I was so surprised that the president, that's Dr. Afolabi, and he just called me up and said, that's on the 9th, and said, well, David, you will be presenting. Within me, I said, well, I was not prepared for any presentation. I was just to sit down and watch what was going on. And before I knew what happened, I found myself, presenting the next day. It's been a wonderful collaboration between U3A, and I'm hoping that we can start a U3A in Lagos, especially because they said they've not been able to do anything for 8 years now. I want to say a big thank you to Tom Holloway.
Right.
Hello?
Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much. I sent an email to you, and I have some videos I would like to send. They are so bulky that I don't think I can attach them anywhere, and I would like to send them in the post on a ship, but we'll talk about that later. This is not the forum for that. So if I can talk to you by WhatsApp later today or tomorrow, we'll discuss that.
And Tom, I'll talk to you about this also. I know a digital way to share videos that may save you the post. So we'll talk too.
Could I just butt in there? I'm very sorry that we don't have with us today Margie von Sale, who's our new liaison for the Common Age Network, which is an incredible network of 55 countries around the world, all the Commonwealth countries that belong. And the bursary that David is talking about, the Pasadena Network suggested to 3 of our people to apply for the bursary, including Helen and Ilanga in India. And unfortunately, all 3 weren't chosen. And we're very sorry, Helen, that this time it didn't work. But maybe on another occasion it will work, and we're happy that it did work for David. And I'm sorry that, as I say, I'm sorry that Margie isn't here, because she was the one who's really brought us through to Common Age, and I think that we're going to have a very, very fruitful relationship with them, because they're doing wonderful work. And this event in England is the first ever Elders Council that they are holding within the framework of the Heads of States meeting, so it's got very high status. And, I'm very pleased that David will be going along and representing us and finding out a whole lot more. So with that, can we move on to Dieter? It's such a pleasure to see you, Dieter.
Yes, Dieter,
from Switzerland.
Hello, I'm right now in a little heavy times. It's my carnival time. So basically, I keep my inner child awake and playing, and went to bed at 3 in the morning again, playing with my samba band, and it was really a joy to see that all ages were dancing around, and we talked about resilience before, and that's really something you need in all ages. But it's really besides my fun time playing music. I saw just a TED article video saying how playing an instrument benefits your brain and neurological wonders behind playing a musical instrument. It really activates your brain if you're active with music. And I got approached about a speech series to be given to caretakers in Switzerland about reawaken the inner child and being playful in as older adults. And so I'm going to pursue that as soon as my carnival time is over.
Peter has his priorities straight.
Yeah, I have to go back on Monday and Tuesday with my Samba band, and the next week with my school band. So you see, lots of activities. And Pauline, I will be in Hawaii in April. So if you want to meet up for a coffee, let me know.
Oh, I think Cullen should meet up with you for a samba band presentation, and you can teach all these people to play drums. How about that?
That's we get drumming circle, yeah.
So Dieter, the answer is yes.
Yeah, I sent you an email, Colleen, but you haven't answered to me, so.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Okay.
I bet it went into spam.
Okay, probably. I'll reconnect with you.
Okay,
well, anyway, I always get this in touch with this music thing and dancing, and I see at older age, and I get all these articles like and videos, and seeing people from all over the world, in Cuba, Africa, everywhere dancing. They have a big smile, and they move their bodies and everything. So it's very important that older adults also keep active, you know.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dieter. Jan?
I'm sorry that you won't be at the Positive Aging Conference in April 3rd and 4th. So if there's any chance that you could come to Philadelphia, I'm sure that we would be delighted to dance with you there.
And we could link him up with Bruce, who's already done his dance choirs.
Or maybe at the International Federation on Aging in Toronto in August. How about that? We need to get Dieter with us one of these places.
Okay, probably the end of autumn is better at Toronto, because I will be on the West Coast in April, or just right when your conference will start. You know.
Okay. We'll see.
Okay. Nice meeting you all again today.
Good to see you, Dieter.
Thank you.
Is Donna?
Let me unmute you there. Hold on one moment here. She's not wanting to unmute. Hold on. Dana, can you unmute your audio? Because it's not working for me for some reason. There. Oh. Huh. You have the controls somehow. I can't unmute your audio. We may need to skip over to Jillian while I work on this a little bit.
Jillian.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I actually wrote, I don't know if you're familiar with The Conversation, but The Conversation is, it has several global platforms and recently came to Canada. And their objective is they seek out academics to write about their research, but in layman's terms, so not in heavy academic terms. And in October, I wrote a short blog on loneliness and how loneliness is lethal. And interestingly enough, and with a perspective on what happens when you transition out of the workforce and into retirement, and some of the things that we need to consider, you know, such as not having that social network anymore. And it actually went viral. It went across Canada. It went global. It was picked up by a few radio media outlets.
Wow.
It was picked up by a few newspapers and radio, and I will be actually doing an interview next week as well on the subject. So I think it's really interesting, and if for some reason the research on loneliness has really been burgeoning in the The past few months, there's been lots of stuff on the topic, loneliness at work. Harvard Business Review did a big spread on it. So I think it's a really interesting and timely topic. So that's what I've been up to, in a nutshell.
Fantastic.
Could I comment on that? That's been picked up by the BBC in a fairly long piece. And interestingly, they're saying being alone isn't necessarily being lonely. Loneliness might have a deleterious effect on elderly people, but there are some people who would prefer to be alone, and it uses several examples. I think Maya Angelou preferred to do all her work alone.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
It's the difference between loneliness and solitude. And this Lars Tornstam, a social psychologist in Stockholm in Sweden, Patricia, has done a great deal on this topic, talking about gerotranscendence, which is a natural stage of development where you want to be able to have the time to reflect, to look around you, etc., and loneliness. But I think that the main point that Jillian made is so accurate, that there has been a great deal of work done on this, and Bruce Frankel, who we're going to be hearing from soon, is one of the people who has done interviews on that topic. For example, with a guy named David Goff, who has written about finding solitude in the midst of loneliness. So just a fascinating topic, and good for you, Jillian, to be writing about it. Great.
Just to clarify, loneliness is actually really defined as it's a subjective feeling.
Exactly.
Right? You could be, you can have 200 Facebook people in your world but still feel really lonely. So it depends how the individual sees it. If you live alone, if you like to be alone, you would regard you as lonely. It's really that subjective feeling of being alone in your world.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And thank you, Tom, for that point. That's important to discern between the two.
Great.
So we can try to circle back to Dana, but I'm still not able to unmute her audio. I have absolutely no idea why. So if you can hear me, Dana, all I can suggest is if you can try to unmute it yourself, or you may have to call back in again, because it's just not responding here, even though it does for everyone else on the call. I've just been double checking. So something is frozen on your side, unfortunately. So I guess we'll just switch over to Helen or Bruce and then see, Dan, if we can get your audio squared away here.
Bruce.
And Moira, your audio isn't working either, dear. Can you just test for a second and say something? Yeah, so we can't hear you. We've lost your audio, so you may have to double check as well.
Is that any better?
There you are, you're back. Lovely.
Okay, well, I'll take my earphones off.
Okay, I wasn't sure who you were wanting to go to next there, Moira.
To Bruce. Bruce. Hi, Bruce.
Hi all, how are you? Good to see all your faces. I love doing it in the Hollywood Squares version, and getting everyone together. So much fun. Hi, so as many of you probably know, we had an active month of January, Carrie and I and Moira and everyone who participated in the Age Without Borders Caregiving Summit. And it was, the 3 months leading up to it were pretty fruitful too, in terms of doing interviews with amazing people all over the world and getting a sense of how much active innovation there is in the field of aging and caregiving everywhere. And I'm always struck by the feeling when I met Jan 10 years ago or so, there weren't really that many people. It was a very small tribe of people who were interested. And one really does get the feeling that the not just the interest, but the activity and the innovation that's happening is just mushrooming everywhere. And it's really phenomenal to experience that. So, and out of that, I've been thinking a lot about I've been thinking about a book on innovators in aging. And so be happy for any thoughts on that. In other work, since then, of course, I've been made the co-president of the Life Planning Network in the United States. And we're working very hard to build the Life Planning Network, which most of you, I believe, know about, but it's a organization of professionals from diverse disciplines who advocate for positive aging and help people navigate the second half of life. And we've developed a robust virtual community through the Red String tool. We now have about 80 members who use it are on the tool. We now have about 150 members in the organization, and it's grown. We have a so-called virtual chapter of members who are not located in places where there are chapters, and that is growing rapidly, as is for the New England chapter has started to grow again very rapidly. So there are 50 members in New England now again. So we've got an agenda for LPN to really do a bunch of interesting things, which I'll talk about once they get past the board. But I think you can look forward to seeing more from LPN. The Life Planning Network chapter in Philadelphia, which is new this year and has 12 awesome members, they are going to be acting as something of the host community for the Positive Aging Conference. So they're very excited about that, and understandably, that chapter is interesting because they've been very dynamic in terms of creating university courses. They've created one at Temple University where 10 different members give a course a week, so over a course of 10 weeks. And they did the same thing at Penn State, and they've been resubscribed for another course. So they really use their collective wisdom to create coursework, and that's been fascinating to watch. So that's that part of my life. And just in terms of business, for those of you who are interested, Red String continues to grow. We're developing right now, I can't name the community, but a very large community in New York City for caregiving. And that will be, it's going to be very exciting, because if it works, it'll create a wonderful model. So, all goes well. So that's it. I'm looking forward to working with Kerry and Moira and Jan on more Age Without Borders projects. And I'm delighted to see you all in here. And just, Jillian, one thing I did want to mention is for the Life Planning Network, I edit the LPNQ, which is our quarterly journal. And we did a whole quarterly that came out in October on loneliness and isolation. And so there were some wonderful articles in that, and I'd be happy to share that, send that electronically to anybody on the call who wishes. Just let me know. There were some really terrific articles in it, and so that the work on loneliness and aging is growing in England in particular, where they've started to train parts of the postal service to detect loneliness. Since the need for postal workers is changing, they're beginning to train postal workers in Japan, where the issue of loneliness is pretty horrifying sometimes. There was a mind-bogglingly depressing article in the New York Times about a month ago about a housing development in Japan where people were literally dying without anyone knowing that they'd been dead for weeks or months because there's so much social isolation. So in Japan, in both England and Japan, there are now campaigns against loneliness. And I think as society develops, as we see more aging, we're going to have to become really more active. And I see the combating loneliness as one of the critical endeavors for us all. So and just in terms of LPNQ, if you're also interested, we just did a journal on aging and sexuality, which I thought was pretty interesting as well. And so if you're interested in either of those, I'll send it along. And if anyone's interested in writing for LPNQ, I'm doing one now on travel, but the deadline's rather tight. But if you're interested, I'll send you what we're doing coming forward. So that's it. So happy to see you all.
Thank you so much, Bruce. Gee, that's a lot to digest. I would like now to call on Carrie, because Carrie's been such a central part to everything that we've been doing, and she's become so much more than just this delightful, smooth facilitator of our quarterly conferences. Carrie, what have you been up to since we've last been in touch?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, and good to see everybody. So Age Without Borders is the company that was formed a year ago when we started our first virtual summit with Moira and Bruce and Jan and a dream. And it turned into a wonderful project, which then turned into this gigantic project we just completed, the Caregiving Summit, with 60 speakers from around the world. And it was an extraordinary experience for Moira and Bruce and Jan and I and Gabriel, who were able to interview some of these luminaries and thought leaders and to collect this information. And my company now is staffed. We have a team and we are busy repackaging all of this content. So we are pulling all of these stories together into a weekly newsletter that we'll be sending out so that people can receive this content once a week, and they have the opportunity to watch these video interviews, read some background information, and we'll be creating a facilitator's guide as well, so that if someone wants to show the speaker session to a group of friends or to their colleagues or to a senior center, that they'll be able to show those videos and then have a bit of conversation that they can share with it. So we're busy doing that, and we're also packaging this to give to organizations who actively want to have more information and global access to aging topics, that we'll be able to curate and produce this information and put it out there. So that's quite exciting. It's just been a thrill for me to see, as Bruce had mentioned, this incredible movement that is happening globally with innovations and this tool, Zoom, and our capacity as storytellers to bring it together. So I couldn't be more on fire than ever to build this business and to work with all of you in any way. I'm very interested in curating content, that those who have interesting stories and interesting programs, that I can help pull it together in a format that people can see it and people can and hear it. So we'll be working on international projects, translation. I'm really starting to do some deep research into translating this content more easily, so you can read it in Polish or Spanish or French or whatever. So so that's some of the things that I have been up to, and looking forward to just being an active synthesizer and listener. So it's really a privilege to be here.
Super. Thanks very much indeed. Just one quick thing.
And we still have Helen, right?
No, Helen had gone before. Yeah.
Dana is here also. I am on the phone now.
And Dana's here. Dana, I was going to say you popped in, so well done, Dana.
I dialed the number and it was easy. Yeah.
Great.
Good. Donna, please bring us up to date with what you're up to with your different
Yeah,
projects.
I have a lot of news because on January the 15th, we have celebrated the 25th anniversary of the University of Free Time, where I have, I think, over 25 students who are over 90. And we have celebrated their birthday, which was absolutely amazing. We got televisions and radios and daily newspapers, so it was a big event. And then, so it happened on January the 15th, and then from the 18th till 23rd, there was another course for memory trainers in Prague. We have new 63 trainers, Czech trainers, but our course has been selected for and included into the training of the UN Institute of Aging in Malta, where we are going with the neurologist Pavel Kalvach in September. And the last thing that I wanted to tell you is that we have been preparing with Armu Parsuraman an exchange with his U3A between the Center of Lifelong Learning in Prague and U3A from Mauritius. But just yesterday, we had to cancel it because people from Mauritius didn't have money for, it was too expensive for them. But at the same day, like yesterday, I have contacted Hans from Reykjavik, Iceland, and he liked that idea. So we now are trying to work together on it and implement that exchange between Prague and Reykjavik.
Great.
That's amazing. And that just
40 people on both sides, so it would be nice. Yeah.
That's very important. Thanks very much, Donna, for all of that. And it just leads me to a comment that Richard has made in the chat box. And Richard says that he'd like to propose that we start a Pass It On Network mail list so that all members of Pass It On Network can communicate with each other in between these. So if you're all in agreement, we're going to send make a list through. Super. Thanks for that suggestion.
Thank you.
Great suggestion. Super. So we can do that. Jan, I can see that we're up to the top of the hour. The top of the hour, and we haven't gone through the rest of our agenda, but I think that the important thing was that everybody had a chance to express themselves and get to know each other better.
I would like to ask Linda, though, to give us a little update on the first of our interest groups, which has now had 3 meetings, and which will have a 4th at the beginning of March. The Work and Economic Security Interest Group, which has been focusing on entrepreneurship. Jillian is a member of that also, and of course, Carlene. And is there anyone else on who's a member of that group?
Helen.
Helen, of course, Helen.
Yeah.
Linda, do you want to say anything more about that?
Just to say that we meet on the first Monday of every month in a Zoom call like this. And it's all people who are interested in entrepreneurship for mature workers. And we have a spotlight speaker on each call. And so together we're busy learning from one another. We had Colleen as our first speaker, Wendy from Canada on the 50 over 50 awards as a second one. And then this last month, Jillian on her assessment tool that she had developed to assess what older workers really want in their lives. And for me, the sort of take home from the last call is that what I really enjoy is that we're all struggling with the same thing, wherever we are in the world. This is a field that's growing, but we're all challenged, and the call encourages us all that we're learning together and pushing against an old paradigm, which is going to take time. But I'm deeply encouraged that we're going to start working for the whole of the Pass It On network on some working papers and tools that will help both individuals, corporates, and everybody from a different angle to look at what this means for them in the next season of life from a work perspective.
Thank you very much, Linda. And I do want to make another comment just about the Pass It On network itself. I want you all to be aware of the fact that Moira is going through a period of a great transition because her employment, which was a half-time job that paid the rent, the contract was completed the middle of December. So now we absolutely need to figure out a way for Moira to find the support that is needed to complement her small pension to get through. Pass It On Network is our first priority. But if anyone can figure out with us a way of providing some income for the coordinator, that would be wonderful. Right now, of course, we do have a website coordinator, and that's Penny Bear, and the cost for the website comes out of our pockets, Moira's and mine. So I think that it's really rather amazing that we have been able to operate this now 5 years without any budget. I mean, it's really, that tells us the power of the internet. And of course, our interest is in expanding access to free and low cost services. And Tom Holloway, others on this call know very well what it is to be able to provide services for no cost. It's a great luxury, and I feel, from my own perspective, I feel that the freedom to be able to do that, to talk with us all around the world, is absolutely a great, incredible gift, and feel grateful for it. But I do want you to know about the fact that this is a time of new beginnings for Moira, and we want to, if you have ideas for us about our future, that's great. We have talked also, Moira and myself, about thinking about regional Zoom meetings. But before we get to that, I want to mention also that Carrie has provided so much for us as a great gift in her facilitation. And we've been very happy to be part of the Age Without Borders project and process. And we are talking with her as far as this strategy is concerned of how can we make sure that we, all of us who are concerned with support for positive aging realize our own potential, as well as, thinking about the potential of all older adults. We all have needs to create a livelihood. We need to think about this begin to think about it in a strategic way. So that's what we're about.
Thanks, Jim.
Moira?
Yes, thank you. It's a very interesting period of time, I must say. I'm starting all sorts of, obviously starting or carrying on thinking about things. And the one thing I would like to mention is that I'm becoming more and more interested, and this is also thank you very much to Linda Smith, because I think we mentioned last time that Jan and I did a digital literacy course with a fellow called Peter du Toit in South Africa, and it sort of sent us into orbit. It was absolutely extraordinary, wasn't it, Jan?
It was. I have a new image. The future is in the smartphone and the tablets and in videos. And of course, thank God that you, Moira, are a professional journalist and PR person who's superb at doing video interviews. What we're doing right here is the heart of the future.
Right.
That's what we learned.
It was really a total eye opener. And we were so fortunate because Jan and I were the only two people on the course. So it was like tailor-made just for us. And we could ask all the questions and so forth. It was really excellent. And then since then, also through Linda, I've joined the Future of Work Academy in South Africa, run by the South African futurist called Graham Codrington. And this is also a mind-blowing thing. He has this academy, which is split up into 8 different skills that we need as we go into this incredible world of digital reality and everything else. And it's so stimulating. He's got the different lectures, and then there are all sorts of references and sources that you can go and look at and see. And it's also a question of perception, you know, how we are perceiving this world. And this is really a field that's attracting me enormously, the whole question of digitalization and seniors. And I was very happy the other day, Richard, when I went to visit Marie-Françoise Fouche, who's the founding president of OLDUP. And she asked me to become involved with a special project that they're busy running at present, which is to introduce tablets to the plus 90-year-olds. And they've got hold of students, and the students are now going to be teaching plus 90-year-old people on a one-to-one basis how they can use tablets. And it's been run on a scientific basis, so that will be able to be shared all over the world. So it's just so interesting. And then I've been invited to go to London to talk about the same subject. So it's really something that I would like to share and gather information from everybody, because it's totally all pervasive. It's not just, you know, remember the days when we used to say we computer literate? Yay, I can do Word and I can surf on the internet. It's no longer that at all. You know, it's a much wider, well, all-encompassing and all-embracing field that is very exciting. And I think that we can all move that way, because accessibility and digital literacy and so forth, they're all totally tied up. And I think that we, with the mass of experience that we all have around the screen instead of around this table, I think that we could really advance things very quickly. So that is what I would like to say, Jan.
I think it's interesting for David and for Helen to understand that you are at the cutting edge in Africa, because there are not the landlines, there are not the newspapers, but there's the WhatsApp application, and there's the smartphone and the tablet. You know, that really is the future.
Absolutely.
David, I don't know if you guys want to comment, but I could certainly interject that when we did our summit, Margie, who's not here, would share this story that we, who were you on with me, Moira? No, I had Margie coming in from South Africa, and she was from some of the work that she's been doing, having senior facilities have gyms inside, so equipment so the seniors can exercise and stay active. And they were going to showcase some of the seniors in a rural community in South Africa. And Busi was their director, 200 miles away from Cape Town, where we had Margie. And right before we went on our call, there was no power in this little village. So it wasn't possible to get an internet connection. But with her quick thinking, Margie, who uses WhatsApp all the time, called Busi on WhatsApp, 200 miles away in this little village, and got her on the telephone. So I had her video. She was holding it up like this to the camera, live on Facebook from Cape Town. And we were able then to show the world all of these seniors who are exercising and telling about their blood pressure going down and how much they've loved having this equipment there. And it was mind-blowing how technology made all of this happen. And then it was being broadcast live to whoever happened to be watching at the same time. I mean, I went to bed that night thinking, how could you ever imagine something like this happening? Even 5 or 10 years ago, it was inconceivable that you could have this instantaneous connection in all these formats happening at the same time, and it's all basically free. So that was a great story to show the power of WhatsApp and the internet and what it can do.
Would anybody else like to say anything before we cut off? I think we've taken more than your 1 hour of time.
I want to say something.
Right.
I want to say that if any of you, when you open your Pass It On Network newsletter from yesterday, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that it gives you those little symbols for Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. Please use it. use it. We really want to expand subscriptions to the Pass It On Network newsletter, all free, and let's move it out there, because the readership is small in comparison to the amount of work.
Right.
Okay.
Everybody can wave from we have had 11 countries represented today on this call.
Fantastic.
Can I ask a question, please?
Okay.
Hello, Moira. Hello, John.
Can
I ask a question?
Yes. Please go
Can
ahead.
I go ahead and ask a question?
Sorry, I can't hear.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. Now, Moira and Carrie, you are aware that I have a Senegers platform on WhatsApp group, and
Right.
I've been having challenges of trying to send a newsletter to them through PDF file. So if we can have a PDF file of the newsletter, I think they will appreciate it.
Okay, well, we'll ask Penny about that if that's possible. Thank you, David. I'll ask her and come back to you.
Great.
Thank you.
Good.
Good.
Everybody.
Thank you so much.